Look, I mean, this is really getting sickening. I there's a there's a recent movement um, going around. When is there never a recent progressive movement going around trying to break down every single semblance of civilized society? Trying to break down nature, pretty much. I mean, way back when the gay rights movement was picking up steam and everything else like that, I was 100% behind it. I mean, you could see all those fucking videos that I made about how gay people should have the right to the right to marry, how they should have the right to how they should have the right under the law to be seen as equals to those who are straight people. I'm totally for that, and the reason why, I mean, well, it wasn't because of nature or anything. It wasn't an argument from nature. It was an argument from the ability to do whatever you wanted to do. I mean, do what you felt as though was right for you. That's perfectly fine. I don't see any problems with gay people getting married. It doesn't affect me in any way. And really, it doesn't affect anyone in any way, except for the people who just happen to be gay, right? So, if you're attracted to someone the same gender as you, if you're attracted to someone the different gender as you, if you for some reason want to get into a polyamorous relationship, I really don't care. I mean, it doesn't affect me in any way. And even certain things that came up that more conservative types will be against. I mean, besides the gay thing, more people are against transgenderism, and I kind of maybe understand where they're coming from. Where it comes to that, they just don't really completely understand it. They think that it's not a thing, and and that it shouldn't be promoted. Well, I don't really think it's being promoted as much it is becoming into the foresight of humans. I think that for the longest time we believed that gender is something that is decided from one's birth, from one's sex, and it should be. Uh, but at the same time, there are unfortunate circumstances that happen which allow changes in somebody's body chemistry to take place, basically making it so that these things can change, unfortunately. It's not one of these things that are totally okay and it's totally natural that people are born as a male and want to become a female somewhere along the road because of chemical and biological changes that happen throughout their lives. It's not something that is great. It's not something to be celebrated. It's just a fact of nature. It's an unfortunate fact that some people just happen to have certain physiological and psychological changes throughout their life, which makes them realize that they were actually born in this wrong skin. It's not something to be ridiculed, but at the same time, it's not something to be praised. It's something to be concerned about. It's something to be concerned about because of the fact is normally people aren't born as a different gender and wake up and realize one day that they're actually something that their biological factors that they were born with don't actually describe who they are gender wise. I mean, I personally couldn't understand what it would be to be a woman. Like, I don't know how that goes. I don't know how the idea of transgenderism works. I know it's biological. I know there are physiological and chemical features which change in a person's perception of who they are, and these biological and chemical and physiological factors that might happen actually take place somewhere throughout their life and finally manifest itself in somebody's personal decisions whether or not to have gender reassignment surgery. And I'm thinking that if you're going to speak to one of these people who are going through that traumatic experience, they're not really happy about it. I wouldn't say that they're just going around and saying, well, now I'm going to get my gender changed and everything is hokey dokey, everything is hunky dory. I think most transgender people, if they were speaking about this thing, it would be a horrific experience to speak about these things, because I couldn't imagine what somebody might be going through. I mean, you have people like Caitlyn Jenner coming out as a woman, coming out as a trans woman, and everything seems hunky dory on the face of it, right? So this woman who used to be a man changed their gender somewhere along the road, but look at their life experiences. Look how they had it a lot easier with their life because they were able to achieve and accomplish great things, and maybe with a lot of strife along the way. I mean, Bruce originally was a Olympic champion for the United States. I believe he won with the marathon, one of the marathons. Of course, he's very wealthy. And later on, of course, she went through her struggles and eventually became a transgender person. Now, I don't know about her her certain individual circumstances, but I could say maybe some things that she has achieved throughout her lifetime maybe made it easier. Or maybe it's just all a ruse, and it's just that she's hiding her pain. But I don't know. Like, the fact is, I don't know. But I can only say that it looks as though because she has made a better life for herself before all this happened, it has been a little bit easier to mask the sort of trouble and psychological pain that she probably went through when it came to her transition. I know that there's a show about her, I Am Kate, where she talks about being a transgender person, but I mean, personally speaking, I don't really care about her life. I mean, it's great that she's happy. I'm glad she is. I'm glad that she finally got her gender reassignment surgery as she wanted to. But then she goes on the ESPYs. And she goes on the ESPYs, which apparently is a sports channel thing. I mean, I would understand if she went on the ESPYs because of winning the marathon. That would make sense. That's a sports accomplishment. But she came out and she came on the ESPYs because she got some sort of award for having courage. I mean, courage doing what? Courage going through the thing that you did with your transgenderism thing. I mean, fine, I guess that's sort of courageous, but it doesn't make you a hero. It doesn't make you a hero to come up and say, well, I had some problems, and therefore I'm going to be courageous and pick up this award for being courageous. It has nothing to do with courage. It has to do with being yourself. It has to deal with going through certain things that you had to go through in order to become a transgendered woman instead of a man as you were born with, biologically speaking. These are all biological factors, and being a transgender, I would only suppose it's not really a great thing to go through. I would say that a lot of these people are going through a lot of pain. Now, I don't know them personally, as I said before, but I could only imagine. It's the same thing with gay people. You know, if you're a homosexual in a largely heterosexual world where there's a bunch of religious bigots going around and saying the fuck the homosexuals because they can't make any kids and that's the point of marriage, then I would suppose that you're gonna go through a lot of fucking pain, right? I can only remember all of the times that I've seen fucking videos of gay people getting beaten up because they're gay. Because of ridiculous factors. Because they were attracted to the same sex. I remember seeing things of people being killed because they were transgendered. But of course now it's a big thing. Now it's trendy to be transgender instead of looking at it for what it really truly is, a nightmare for most people. You know, this is not healthy. It's not a healthy thing to go out and say, well, those people are bad because they're born some way of which they didn't choose to be, and it makes me feel uncomfortable inside, so let's persecute it. That's unhealthy. That's horrible. But at the same time, it's unhealthy to go 360 degrees in the other direction by applauding them for feeling some certain way or being born some certain way that is away from the norm. It's not something to be applauded. It's something to be empathized with. It's something to make sure that people have the same amount of respect as any other person would have, regardless of their gender, regardless of their sexual orientation. Making it out so somebody is just their sexual orientation, which just happens to be something else than heterosexual, that's wrong. To make it out as though somebody is just what they are as a transgender person, it's horrible. It's wrong. It doesn't. It's disgusting. And we did it the same thing 4 or 5 years ago when the conservative Christians were coming out and they were saying, "Oh, well, these gay people, they all want to go around and sleep around with all their men and go in these gay pride parades and everything else like that." I would say no. Most of these fucking people are out there losing their fucking minds because they're getting persecuted every single day. But now you're going out to all the fucking pseudo-liberals and everything else like that, and they're all saying, "Oh, wow, this is a great thing. We can all applaud this. This is awesome. Yeah. Let's go. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate our diversity. Let's celebrate our differences and everything else like that." When, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to treat these people on an individual basis. I mean, sure, there's certain things that they have to go through. And there are certain people who are out there, and they're gay, and they're having horrible times. I mean, now it's easier because more people are accepting towards it. There are certain people out there that are transgender, but instead of treating it like what we did with gay people, trying to get them back into the mainstream, saying, no, it's okay to be gay, it's fine to be gay, we understand that it's a struggle, but it's okay to be gay. Our society will now accept it and move forward into a more understanding sort of society instead of arguing that you're sinful and everything else like that because of biological factors that you cannot control. What we do is we parade these people around for some sort of fucking political agenda. No. I mean, people will probably call me a bigot because I'm the one motherfucker going around and saying, no, this is not good. It's not good to be struggling with these things. It's not good to be struggling with the fact that you're a transgender person. It's not good to be struggling with the fact that you're gay or lesbian or whatever it may be. It's not good to struggle about these things that shouldn't be struggled about. But it's not good to parade them around either and make sure that you can use this as some sort of political football. Because these same fucking people the transgender people who are going around and they're like, oh wait, well now all I am is my transgenderism. Well, that's not healthy at all. It's not healthy for trans people, and it's not healthy for people who aren't transgendered. It's not. What's healthy is having to make sure that people are accepted for who they are and move on past whatever their sexual orientation is, or move on past whatever they were born at, as if they have some sort of body morphic disorder, if they have some sort of trouble understanding what their nature is. That's not something to be paraded. It's not something to be proud of. It's something to be understood and empathized with. It's something to be understood, and it's something to be moved on. People should move on. They should understand, they should empathize, and then they should move on, treating people as their human beings. It's the same thing with somebody who might have went through some horrific accident and got half their face burned, or the face burned, or maybe they lost a limb in war or something. Not that I'm really for the war anyway, but it's like a paraplegic. We don't go around and say, oh, like, you're horrible for being a paraplegic, or you're horrible for burning your skin. And we don't go around saying, oh my God, it's amazing that you're a paraplegic. It's amazing. We're going to have to make sure that we make this a whole big thing about paraplegic rights. We're going to have to make it a big thing about third-degree burn rights. We don't do that. So why are we doing it to these people? Why are we doing it to people who are going through such a fucking hard time with people who are going through their own personal issues when it comes to their sexual orientation or their gender identity? And then we exasperate the problem by going around and saying, well, because certain people are born as transgender people, let's ensure that they feel comfortable by just making sure that everyone just doesn't have a gender. What we're going to do is we're going to come up with some bullshit identity politics thing and make ourselves feel special. But by saying, oh, we feel like we're a man sometimes and a woman sometimes, and sometimes girls have penises and sometimes men have vaginas. That's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. I understand the transgenderism thing, right? That's biological. That's something that sticks. That's something that says, hi, I was born a certain way, but I felt something down under and deep inside, and it felt wrong to me, and therefore I had to go through years of counseling and therapy to understand myself and who I am. But of course, because of gender identity politics, because of quote-unquote progressivism, what we're going to do now is we're just going to totally demolish everything, because now everyone has to feel special in some sort of way because of their identity and not who they really are, not what accomplishments that they make in life. Let's make sure that we understand that no one actually has to have a gender. Let's make sure that everyone can be a man and a woman at certain times, and then at certain other times they can be a woman with a penis, and then certain other times they can be a man with a vagina, or they can be a man with a penis and a woman with a vagina. Let's do it that way. Let's just totally destroy the world around us. Let's get all nihilistic up in this bitch. Yep, that's exactly what we need. What we need to do is we need to confuse the genders. We need to completely ignore reality. We need to understand. We need to not understand that there is a difference between men and women. And that's not a bad thing. But fuck it. Fuck it. We're all interchangeable. We all have different ideas, and therefore those ideas make us. Not like the actual fucking shit that we accomplish in our lives, but no, it's just what we feel inside. Let's just totally ignore science. Let's totally ignore biology. Let's totally ignore physiology. Let's ignore all that shit. And let's destroy the human species. Let's say that for some reason, for thousands of years, men did certain roles and women did certain roles, but now we're all completely interchangeable because of progress. That's not progress. That's not progressivism. What's progressivism? Progressivism isn't going around and making sure that you destroy everything sacred amongst you. And by sacred, I don't mean religious. I mean biology. I mean science. I mean things that cannot be changed. I mean objective reality. That's what I mean by sacred. I don't mean the spiritual bull crap. I'm not talking about this religious bullshit. I'm talking about pure cold hard science. Things that can be determined and understood and measured by scientific analysis. That's what I mean by fucking sacred. You can't change a lead into gold. We learned that thousands of years ago when we were trying to do alchemy. And guess what? Alchemy failed. Because just because we feel like we can manipulate certain things doesn't mean it changes the physical reality of things. Progressivism isn't about creating new things in order to destroy the old things which exist in reality. It's not about ignoring reality and parading it around. It's not about dressing your kid up in boys' clothes and girls' clothes and figuring out what they want. That's gonna destroy the fucking person right there. You're raising a fucking child. The children need stability in their lives. If children don't get stability in their lives, they wind up fucked up. They wind up having to go through years of counseling. They wind up having to go years through therapy. What they need is they need stability. They need a certain set of rules to follow in the household, a certain structure of which to go under. And then once they're old enough, they can make their own decisions. Then they can start questioning things. But they need a sense of base reality before they get into the fact of questioning things. They need that instilled into them by a younger age. They need some structure. They need their parents to go in and step in and figure out what is right for the child. And then when the child gets to a certain age, the child can question things. Then the child can question everything. Then the child can go out and research and figure out whether or not his parents or her parents were wrong or right about certain things. But they need a structure. Without that, you're just destroying the next generation. Progressives need to wake the fuck up. Alright? I understand you're wrong about economics. Should read an economics textbook. That's perfectly fine. You should read some Mises. You should read some Rothbard. But I'm not talking about economics right now, right? I'm talking about scientific biological realities. Scientific biological realities are not something that should be paraded if someone is away from the norm, like transgenderism, but it's not something that should be diminished or argued against, like Christianity and religion and the religious right does. It's something as a real progressive, as if you consider yourself a progressive, you shouldn't be for parading people's sexual identity around. You shouldn't be for parading people's transgenderism around. You should be for understanding. You should be for empathizing. You should be trying to make sure that people understand. That people are able to deal with certain people who might have a different reality. You should be those people that go out and say, look, they might be different from you, but you shouldn't treat them badly. You should empathize. You should understand. But of course, the progressive movement has gone completely nuts. You're not full of liberals anymore. You're not full of progressives. You're just full of fascists that want to destroy the reality. That want to destroy the family. But guess what? You still have motherfuckers like me to put you back in your place. Motherfuckers like me who used to be a communist. Motherfuckers like me who used to be more left than you will ever be. Who used to be Marxists and Leninists. Who are now understanding and in touch with reality of the reality of things. Libertarianism. Anarcho-capitalism. Voluntarism. Things that are voluntary, peaceful, understanding human nature. Understanding biological factors, understanding moral relativism doesn't exist, and there's an objective morality, and there's an objective reality. I'm not a reactionary. I'm someone who searches for truth. I'm someone who makes my own mistakes, just like anyone else out here that actually thinks and fesses up to them when I'm wrong. And totally changes my opinion to meet up with the demands of reality. You're the reactionaries. I'm the one that makes sure that reality is met up with. And that people are treated the way that they should be. As people. Not as pawns. This has been Laughs of Apathy. I hope you have a great day.